Hey guys, welcome to a webinar of OpenLM. I'm Sagi, I will be your host for this webinar. So what are we going to talk about today? We'll be talking about two subjects. First of all, we'll be talking about license harvesting. We'll see how you can harvest an idling license so your system can recognize if someone is not using the license properly, meaning that he got the license, is not doing anything with it. So you can harvest that license. You can get it back in the pool for other people to use. Now that's the first part. The second part, we'll focus on the reporting part of OpenLM. Now OpenLM has embedded reports. It has the OpenLM reports, which most users are perfectly satisfied with. But sometimes we get clients asking for different types of aggregation. We get clients asking for different types of reports. So instead of developing it manually, instead of developing it for per project or per client, we created a hub which you can connect your BI tool and just query your hearts away. You can get all the insights that you need, get all the reports that you need, without even having to code anything, without SQL, without nothing. So let's dive right in. So first of all, we'll talk about two extensions. One is called actual usage. The other one is called active agent. Now, what does this do? Basically, it tracks the process of the application and it monitors if it's currently idling or it's not. Now, what is idling? That means that, let's say I'm an engineer, I opened AutoCAD, but I'm not using it. I'm using, I don't know, Solidworks, I'm on a meeting, I'm on Facebook, I don't know, I'm just not using that license. Why should you care? Like, as an admin, why do I care? People are idling with licenses. Yeah, so what? Well, that license could have gone to someone that's actually working, that's now trying to get a license. He is actively being denied from getting a license, and he's pretty much sitting on his hands. And you got that license on someone's PC doing nothing. So that means you'll have more licenses that are more free more of the time for people to use. Now, once you know the idle time, you can act upon it. OpenLM allows you to save the application and close it. Now, with a graceful close, we can also suspend, and we have several options. I will go over it in a moment. So as a result, what do we get? We get license cost reduction. Why? Because we got the same amount of licenses, but now they're freer more of the time. So basically, we get better availability. Better availability means we need less licenses. We can reduce licensing cost. Now, before I move on with the presentation, I will jump to the demonstration itself. I will zigzag between them to show you all the different options. So let's say I'm an engineer right now. I've opened up a workstation. This VM is a workstation. And I am checking out an AutoCAD license. Now, what is that application doing? Going to the license manager, trying to get the license, and it got the license. Great. But now let's say that my boss called me and I had to go to a meeting. So I just left this open and went on a meeting. Maybe my wife called me and I had to go home. Maybe I'm just leaving it for whenever I need it. Like a personal note, when I worked in a lab at my last job, and we had this device that required a license. So I would get the license, the floating license, and never put it back. This is just what I would do. I would come in the morning and keep the license for about 2 months until they restart the server. So in order to prevent that, and cases much worse than that, you can have the OpenLM agent itself close the application, close the session. Now, what am I talking about? What is the OpenLM agent? The OpenLM agent is a component sitting on the end user workstation. You can roll it out using SCCM, so it's no biggie. It's an agent component sitting on the end user workstation, and what does it do? It's monitoring processes. What is a process? A Windows task. This. So the agent now is monitoring a process called AutoCAD, and we got that data coming from the license manager as well, so we can compare between the two. We know that this user used from this workstation, and let's see the result. The result is that we see our session right here. This is my username, the feature I'm using, the group that I'm from, the workstation, how long I've been actually active. So I've been like almost 3 minutes, checked out the license about 3 minutes ago. And if we take a look to the right here, we see that I have about 1 minute of idle time. Now, 1 minute, it's not too bad, but you might have some engineers that might have 10 hours of idle time, 2 days of idle time, something like that. So you can simply click Close App, and on their side, it will simply close the application. So if we go to our workstation right here and give it anywhere between 1 to 2 minutes, it will close the application after saving the work. So this is a very powerful tool. You can either do it yourself, as you've seen me do, just close app, or you can have OpenLM do it automatically and define that if you see someone idling for like 10 hours, then close his application, save his work and close his application. Now we see that it happened right here in front of our eyes. The agent closed AutoCAD after saving it, and I get a little message right here popping up saying that the agent has recently closed AutoCAD at system administrator's request. If I click open, it will reopen and reinitiate to the same session that I had, to the same document that was saved. Now, you're probably thinking to yourself at this moment, okay, that's great, but how does the agent know that I'm idling? Is it like tracking my keyboard key account or key count, or is it tracking my mouse clicks? What is it tracking? How does it know? Well, it's not tracking any of that. It's tracking the CPU memory and operations per second, which relate to the application that we're talking about. So let's say we want to monitor idle time for AutoCAD. So basically the agent will set a threshold for the CPU memory and operations for AutoCAD. And once it goes over a certain amount, once it goes over that threshold, that means that there is CPU usage for that application, there is memory usage, there are operations currently happening, then it's currently used. But if there's no CPU usage, not a lot of memory usage, barely any operations happening, so it's currently idle. It's not being used. Now, what does that mean? That means if a user is using an application, then it takes up CPU and memory and power, and now it's used. Let's say that someone stopped working, so the application is no longer taking CPU, no longer taking memory and operations and all power, so it's now defined as being idle. Now, you're probably thinking to yourself, well, what if it's a simulation? There's no one at the computer. The guy went home and left the simulation to run. Won't it kill it just mid-simulation? Well, we have a lot of clients that ask that, and no, it will not kill that in mid-simulation because it will know that it's used at the moment. Again, it doesn't matter if the CPU and memory and operations, it doesn't matter if it comes from the user or anything else. It just cares about the process itself and if the process is now working. So if you have simulation running, so the process is running hard, it's running really hard, so it's used at the moment, meaning that it will not be defined as idle, it will not be killed. So how can we do that? So what did we see now? We saw the application be saved and closed, but this is only for 4 applications: for Autodesk, MATLAB, ArcGIS, and Solidworks. Why is that? Why only 4 applications? Why not everything? It's cool. It's a cool product. Why not for everything? Well, we developed a little API that connects to the application. In this case, ArcGIS, but it can be Autodesk, MATLAB, SolidWorks. We developed this API. Now, what happens basically is the server talks to the agent, which talks to the little API that we built and tells the ArcGIS itself, or Autodesk, it tells the application itself, hey, can you please save the work and close yourself? And the application simply obliges to do that, and that's it. It's super easy, and it simply talks to the application itself. But let's say that it's not one of these 4. Let's say that we're talking about a Siemens application, or we're talking about any other application which its vendor is using FlexLM. So let's take Siemens for example. Siemens is a vendor which uses FlexLM. That means we can implement Suspend Resume. Now, what is Suspend Resume? Basically, it suspends the application on the workstation, so the user will not be able to access it, and it releases the license back into the license manager, so users will be able to use it. So what happens basically is a little dance between the broker and the agent, between the license manager and the workstation. So if the agent tells the broker, okay, I froze the session. So the broker knows to do an LM remove. Okay, remove that guy's license and get it back to the license manager for other people to use. And once you want to resume, it's the same way, but opposite. Now, let's say it's not a FlexLM application, it's a Loom application, maybe it's DSLS application, maybe LMX or RMS or any other supported license manager, not necessarily FlexLM. What then? Well, then you can use agent procedures, which is for all applications, because let me show you, it monitors the process itself. So going here, because OpenLM agent is able to monitor the process itself, that means we can act upon this process even if we don't have a broker, if we don't have a license manager, even if it's not a floating license, it's like a standalone application, anything. So if it tracks the process, then what can it tell us? If it tracks the process, it tells us first of all the idle time, but it also allows us to kill the process. So we can kill the process if we want. So we have 3 options here. One of them is the most gentle and graceful way. Basically, you tell the application, hey, can you please save and close? There's the most violent way where you just kill the process. You don't care about anything, just kill it. And there is an in-between where the license is released and the application is suspended. Okay. Sorry about that. So, what's the deployment like? Basically, you already have probably brokers on your license servers. So you might have many different vendors on the license server, but you just need one broker for that license server, for each license server. So they send information to OpenLM server, and the agent sends information from the workstations to OpenLM. So the data is coming from the workstation, coming from the license manager. OpenLM combines it. Sorry about that. OpenLM combines it and parses it and basically tells which is which, is able to combine and know that, oh, the session coming from the broker has an idle time coming from the workstation, and they can combine it as a result. Now, the second part I want to talk to you about has more to do with reporting. Up until now, we saw the management part. You're able to manage license usage. You're able to tell OpenLM, kill sessions or gracefully close applications which are idling for too long. If I got a stress situation, I don't have a lot of licenses left, well, start releasing licenses. Whose licenses? Whoever has, I don't know, 2 hours of idle time, you define it. You define it to suit your need. But we also have an option to custom query your data. You'll be able to get all the data from OpenLM into a business intelligence tool, a BI tool. Now, BI is basically the 21st century way of handling large amount of data, of getting insights into your licensing information, into the data. So you'll get the dashboard that you want. You can customize them however you'd like with interactive reports, interactive bar chart graphs for insights. You can integrate external components and external IT systems with the BI itself. So for example, you can get pricing information and combine it in the BI. You can have all the flexible aggregations that you'd like. You can create your own dashboard with calculated fields, and basically it's drag and drop interface. No simpler than that. So I'll go over it in a moment and show you. I'll go over it in a moment and show you the solution itself. Now I have a question here. Will OpenLM work with ServiceNow as an add-in or separate app? So OpenLM will work with ServiceNow. It's in one of the versions, in the latest versions that we have for 6. It's now on the website, but probably will take a version more until we have the full ServiceNow support and until they have full OpenLM support. So we are working on integration. It's nice for you to bring that up. Once we have that, we'll be sure that we'll go out with all the publications that we can and market the hell out of it. Yeah. So, but currently not yet. I would wait a month or two, and you will have that. You will have OpenLM on ServiceNow. Okay. So, what can we get out of this? From all this, from all what I've talked about, the reporting hub basically is there to give you all the reports that you need. That's basically it. Because we had a lot of clients that wanted different types of aggregations, different reports, and we just can't go one by one and create all the reports that they need. Oh, not this report, not that report. Oh, can this be a bit higher? Can this be a bit lower? We don't do that. No more. So what we did, we actually built a flexible system for the client to be able to create his own reports. Now we know that most clients are not developers and don't have any SQL knowledge and all that. So what we are enabling people to do is use the simplest tool available, a BI tool, with a very simple and easy data structure, which you will see in a moment, which allows us to create these amazing reports, all the different aggregations that we want, calculated fields, all the bars, all the bar chart graphs and lists we need. So how does it work? Right now, you have the OpenLM server sending data to the OpenLM database. Up until now, nothing new. Well, yeah, you have server talking to a database. That's it. So what if we try to take a BI tool and read this database? Try to read this database. What do we find? Well, a whole lot of mess. That's what we find. We found about 116 different tables, maybe 106 of them you don't need. You don't know which is which. The ones that you do need, it's not aggregated in any way that a human can understand. It's not aggregated in any way that a BI tool can work with. So for that, in order to allow users to get access to the database and bypassing the rigidness of the OpenLM database, we run an ETL engine. It's basically a data engine that grabs all the information from this database, the relevant information, calculates it, aggregates it, does whatever it wants to it in order to get a reporting database at the other side. Now, the reporting database is something that you do understand. It is very user-friendly. It's built for BI tools. It's built for human interaction. The OpenLM database is built for easy admin interaction, for the interface interaction. The reporting hub is made for human interaction. So then we just use any business intelligence tool to read from the reporting database. Now we use Power BI, which is a Microsoft tool, but you can use any tool you want. If you're licensed for Tableau or you're licensed for Qlik or Saysense or whatever, you're able to read from that database and get the same reports, the same structure. Okay, so let's see it in action. Of course, I'm not going to show you the whole ETL run because that's too technical, but let's take a look at the resulting reports and the resulting database. So opening up this report, you can see the Power BI interface. And we have many different tables here on the side, which I'm not going to dive into now, but in a moment. So what can we create out of this? We can create beautiful dashboards with all the different filters and aggregations we'd like. For example, let's take a look at this graph. This looks like the license utilization, the license usage report, and it is. It's license usage and license quantity, but there's something else here. You can also see number of denied users, meaning above the license quantity line, you can also see denials. So you don't have to take a look at two different reports and try to superimpose one on top of the other. It's already here. You can see it here, and not even just denials. You see denied users because you don't care about how many denials you had. You might have had 1,000, but does that mean you need 1,000 licenses? Or does that mean you've got one very active engineer and you just need one license? So you can create dashboards that look like this for the denials. So you can see how many denials, how many denied users. You can see the same report as we've seen before, but you can see also a table associated with it for all the features, for all the groups, for all the servers, whatever we choose to aggregate or drill down. And we can calculate fields. So we have checkouts and denials, but we can calculate the amount of transactions. We can calculate the amount of denied users. We can calculate the denials per user. We can calculate a ratio to give us like a general sense of what's going on with that license. Is it getting a lot of denials? Now, this is pretty much endless because it's flexible. It's all for you to develop. These are some sample reports that we have, but each client wants his own aggregation, wants their own different reports and dashboards, and most important, it's all constant, meaning that the data is streaming. You don't have to grab it and put the information, and you don't have to run it. It's automatic. So each night the ETL gets data from the OpenLM database to the reporting database, and you don't feel it. It's in the background. So this is cool and all, but what do we get? What do we have here? This is the structure that we get. Remember that I told you that the OpenLM database has about 116 different tables, which most of them you don't need. So these are the tables that you do need, and they're calculated and aggregated in different ways. For example, we got all the different dimensions like users and all the details on the users, license, for example, all the details about the license server, feature, vendor type, everything that you can think of. So these are the dimensions. They are basically the filters in OpenLM, the workstation, the user, everything. You can filter by them, you can aggregate by them, you can show whatever you want by these dimensions because they're all connected to all the measures. So what else do we have? We have different measures holding all the measures that you need, all the measures that you're looking for in OpenLM. So we got session duration, idle time, denials, license quantity, concurrent usage, and we also have a few different types of aggregations. Like it's not always raw data, it might be aggregated hourly, which I'm not gonna dive deep into now. But let's see what we can do with this. So let's say your boss comes up to you and says, hey, John, I need a report of the session duration and denials per user just in one place. So if you had the OpenLM interface, you would go to denials, you would download the CSV, you would go to license activity, you will try to download the CSV and kind of compare between the two and see what happened when, and oh my God, what a pain. So what can we do here? Just click on the user, get the username. We want session duration, so we'll get that and just drag it inside. We want denials. So we go to denials table and we just drag it inside. And voila, we got a report showing us the session duration and denials. Now we can count the sessions, combine the sessions, calculate it with the denials, with the amount of users, whatever you want. We have calculated fields that you can add, like this one. You see, it's like an Excel field. It's like an Excel formula. So you count this, divided by count this, and this is the sessions per user. You got like a totally new field that you just created. Now, this can, of course, be drilled into. This can be used in many, many different ways. For example, I want to show user, but I want to know the feature as well. So I'll get the product name, drag it inside, and I can have like a heat map of product per user. Or maybe I want to drill down. So I can just drill down into Alicia or Brooke. What has Brooke been doing? Which features has he been using? So I click on it and I see the feature that he's been using. So it's infinitely drilled. You can drill down to all the measures that you have. You can drill down between different measures. It's very flexible, very. So I suggest if you're interested in getting a bit more out of the reporting capabilities of OpenLM, then I suggest to try out the Reporting Hub. You can try it out for a 30-day evaluation, test it out, see if it works for you. If it is, then you buy it. If not, no harm, no foul. That's it. That's basically it. That's the option for us, for OpenLM, to give you flexible aggregation and any functionality in reporting that you might need and you can't find in OpenLM. And that's basically it. Now I would like to hear from you guys. If you have any questions, if you want to know anything that I didn't talk about, that I talked about but didn't elaborate on, maybe you didn't understand anything, just please go ahead, use the questions box of the GoToWebinar. I'll be happy to answer any question. So can you discuss cost? John is asking. I can discuss it, but I'm not very knowledgeable in cost. I'm part of the support team, not the sales team, so I'm the good guy here. I don't know. I can approximate. I do know that if we're talking about actual usage and active agents, so actual usage has a flat fee. I don't know, a few hundreds. I have no idea how much. Active agent is based on the amount of users you will be monitoring, the amount of users that you will be rolling out the active agent to. Now the reporting hub, that is also a flat fee, but it also adds to the maintenance because you do get some maintenance services. If you have questions on the reports, you want to know how to aggregate, usually we do get some clients asking for a bit more, so it's adds a bit more to the maintenance cost. But of course, don't take my word for it. It's take it with a grain of salt. I'm not a part of the sales team. If you have any technical issues, that's me. But pricing issues, I would suggest to contact sales. So you can go to the OpenLM website. You have a few options. You can click contact us, and you can just call us up over the phone. You can send an email, or you can just click here and you'll be able to contact us using chat. Can get a recording of the webcast. Yeah, of course, no problem. I'll send you a recording. Let me just, you will all get a recording, but one moment, let me write your name, John. I will send you all the documentation and specific videos we have on the reporting hub. And yeah, just go ahead. If you need anything, if you need me to present to management, no problem. We also do that. Yeah, that's it. Oh, no problem. Happy to help. Great. If you need us, we're here for you to present, to support, whatever you need. Okay. So if none of you have a question, then thank you very much, guys. I really appreciate it that you could join. I hope that you learned something about OpenLM that you didn't already know. I'm sure that most you already did. But if you did learn something you didn't know, then great, I've done my job. So have a great day, guys. Bye.